What's up, everybody? This is the Gridiron Gilly Show. I'm the host, Gridiron Gilly. This morning, I have Coach Stan Kimbell with the New Boston Lions with me. Coach, he's in year one. Coach, how you doing?
Doing great. How you doing?
Doing fantastic. I think I got one more mow left on my grass, and then I won't have to do it for the rest of the year. So I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
Coach, like I said, this is year one for you over there. How you feeling? You feeling optimistic?
Oh yes, yes. This is a great community, and we've got a lot of great kids, and you know the expectations, for us, it can't be any higher, and that's the expectations that we as coaches put on ourselves, and we put on our kids, and so everything's been going great. We've got a lot of support around town, and again, it's uh, you know we've got a lot of people that want to see New Boston, get back to where it used to be. So we have a lot of support.
Absolutely. So, usually how I start this off, I just ask the coaches to talk about their coaching history. If you want to go back to your playing days, even, and then just where you coached at, and then your staff. And if you want to get into some of your players, the floor is yours, Coach.
Well, I'm originally, or I went to high school in Spring Hill, Arkansas, which is a small school right outside of Hope, Arkansas. I graduated 2004. We didn't have we were a program that really didn't have any tradition in football. I was one of the first players to ever play on our team that we started whenever we were in Pee Wee. And then when we got into junior high, and then we got into so in Arkansas, it's not really JV or anything. It's junior high and senior high football, and so I was on all of those first teams, and so my class were we really didn't have a whole lot of history in football. We were a bunch of country kids that Spring Hill was a traditional basketball school, Class B basketball, small school. So we played a lot of other smaller schools in and around the area that really aren't even open anymore. Saratoga and Waldo, McNeil, and Bradley, and like I'm saying all this. I mean, they're if you have people that are born in the 70s and 80s and some even in the 90s, they can remember those schools being open. But no, I didn't grow up really playing football. I played every sport: football, baseball, basketball, golf, track, all those things. But football was one of those things that kind of just fell in my lap, and competed hard in, and played quarterback, played wide receiver, played DB. Small school, you got to play everything, and so got into college and wanted to be a baseball coach. And that was my goal. Was I wanted to pursue a goal or pursue a job, coaching baseball, and got into it, and the opportunity kind of fell in my lap. Knowing some other people and everybody, I went to Southern Arkansas University and had opportunity to be a student assistant and with the football program, and kind of got my feet wet there, and being under some really good coaches that really took me under their wings. They gave me a lot of duties and gave me a lot of responsibility, and so I fell in love with it pretty quick, just by seeing other coaches' passion. And so, and I really didn't know a whole lot. Like, I didn't know a whole lot about the game growing up. And so I really learned a lot whenever I got to that next level. And again, under a really good staff and everything from that. And so everything kind of took off from there. I stayed at SAU, graduated with my 4-year. Started my grad assistant there, was a GA there, and then I transferred to Arkansas Tech. I was there for about half a year, and then kind of just got burnt out on the whole grad assistant and, living paycheck to paycheck, if you can call it that when you're a grad assistant. Can't really call it that. you're kind of living on a whim and living on hopes and dreams and stuff. But it met some really good coaches and everything, and had an opportunity to get into Texas high school football. And my first job was in Mount Pleasant, Texas, and coaching for the Tigers back in 2009. And I stayed there for 1 year under Jimmy Thompson. He was the head coach, and a guy by the name of Richie Pinkard is the guy that hired me. He was the defensive coordinator there, and stayed there for 1 year, and ended up getting an opportunity to go over to DeKalb, Texas, with Richie Pinkard. He became the head coach there, and which isn't too far away. It's not too far away from here. It's a big rival of New Boston, and so spent a couple years there. He moved on and took a different job, and I moved on to Dangerfield, Texas, and I coached there in 2012. Again, having really good team, really good athletes there, really strong tradition there. Went to the state championship game, ended up not winning that game, but ended up learning a lot, and decided to go back to Mount Pleasant after that year in 2013. Spent 2013 in Mount Pleasant. Had a really good team, kind of fell apart, had some injuries. After that, had another opportunity to be the defense coordinator in Atlanta, Texas, and so under Matt McClure, and so that was really good. That was really great for me and my wife. We married 2013, and so being a young couple and everything, not moving too far away, it was a great experience for me. Being under a really good staff and being under the whole tutelage of having guys on our staff that knew a lot of ball, and so had a very good year there. Went 12-2, and had an opportunity. Just when you make connections with coaches, you never know when the door is going to knock. And guy by the name of Shane Tollison, who's at Waxahachie now, he's the head coach at Waxahachie. He got the defense coordinator job at Denton Ryan, and so Denton Ryan being such a highly high esteemed program, and the standard is championship or nothing. And so had opportunity to go there, coach safeties. I was there for 2 years. We lost 2 games to Allen and Highland Park. And so I learned a lot of ball there, and I learned a lot about coaching, and I learned a lot about how to build a program and how to manage a program. And under Dave Hennigan and Joey Florence are some of the best in the state and best around the country. And we ended up having my son whenever we got there in 2016, and so had him, and so we were a young couple. We were over there all by ourselves, and had opportunity to come back home closer to family, and so I took a job at Texas High in 2017. And I was there for 5 years under Jerry Stanford. He's still there. I still talk to him all the time and everything. And being a part of his staff, kind of grew there, grew as a coach, and grew as a parent and a husband and everything there. Ended up having our second child. I have a little girl named Andy, and so I have 2 children, and so. Grew there and had opportunity in 2022 to be the defense coordinator at kind of a crosstown rival there at Liberty Ilo. Spent 2 seasons there, turnover with the head coach and everything. Ended up had an opportunity to go for that head coaching position. Didn't end up getting it. Went ahead and moved on to Jefferson, Texas. Again, when you make connections, as a coach, you end up meeting a lot of your rival coaches, and you end up meeting a lot of other coaches that you play against. And and you admire. And had an opportunity to go and be a part of Ty Taylor in his staff down at Jefferson. He took over, first year coach. He took over down there, and it was unbelievable. We had a tremendous staff. He had a great vision, and he still has that vision down there. And he's a tremendous man and a tremendous mentor and a leader for that team and that program. And was there all the way until last April, May. And this opportunity came open late, and kind of had some hesitation towards it. Didn't want to leave him, didn't want to leave that staff, and those kids. And long story short, I went for it. This has been a dream job, and a job that I've always admired and I've always wanted, and I've always wanted to be a part of. And so had the opportunity, I sold out to it, and Mr. Bobbitt took a chance on me. And so, here we are now, going through the summer, kids working hard and putting in a lot of work and learning a new defense, learning a new offense, learning a new coaching staff. It's been the kids have been very resilient, very trusting with that. And, kids have worked their butts off, and they've showed up and they've given everything. And so, it's been a great time, and so, as we get into it now, we're starting district this week. And so it's a brand new season.
Yes, sir. I saw an article the other day after you agreed to do this. Every time I get a coach to agree to do this, I like to look into what their program has done and what they've done, just to know a little bit about them. When I first started it, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to come in blind, but I was like, I don't like that idea. But I saw that you did say that this was a dream job for you. I saw you say that, and then you just referenced that again. What makes New Boston so special in your eyes as a dream job?
Well, I think with the town where it is, with the amount of support, with it being on the interstate, with its location of being away from Texarkana, you're still far enough away to where you still get the small town vibe. And it's a big enough town to where it's not too big and it's not too small. I mean, we have plenty of businesses here. We have plenty of support here, and we have great kids here that still have a lot of grounding, and they have really good parental support, and we have a lot of support with our school. We have a tremendous school. We have an A+ campus high school, A+ campus middle school. It really is. We have a really good team, and we have really good staff, and really good people here in New Boston. And it's one of those places that you pass by all the time, and playing against these guys in the past, and seeing the caliber of how they play, and the caliber of type of kids, and what they can put on the field, and not just football, but in other aspects, other sports, boys and girls. And so it's always been one of those that I've always kept my eye on, with it being a small school and everything. I grew up going to a small school, and so it just kind of feels right. I love being at a big school. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just what you're comfortable with, and I'm comfortable with any situation. I've just, if I always kind of just told myself, with where I'm at and where I want to be in my career and everything, I like this area. I love this area, and it's close to home, and it's close to my wife's home, and so it's just always been on my radar, and it's always been one of those schools that's like, if I ever get that opportunity, I'd love to be a part of it.
Yes, sir. Well, I looked it up at like the last 10 seasons of New Boston. They had a rough patch from about 15 to COVID year, but then ever since 2020, they've kind of either, had like a 500 year or
Yeah,
been in the playoffs. And I think last year they got third in the district, I believe.
I believe so.
So how do you help them take that step and I guess build the culture and get that expectation in there to be in the playoffs every year and just build
Well,
from there?
I think you said it right. It's you got to create a culture, and you have to create a standard, and uh, everything that's happened in the past has been good and everything, and there's nothing wrong with what has happened in the past. And Coach Littleton he's a tremendous man, and he's done a tremendous job. What I bring different to the table is I bring more relationship, with kids, and with understanding of creating a vision that the kids can really hone in on, and they can achieve. And it puts a lot back on the kids, and it puts a lot back on the parents of wanting to keep their kids to that standard. Um, we are always going to be our own worst critic here. Uh, as coaches, our standard is very high. We coach at a very high level, and those are the type of people that I want to bring here. Those are the type of coaches I want to bring here, and that's the type of people that I want to bring here is winners. And I believe I've done that in just a short amount of time, and so uh, with our staff, bringing a staff that really didn't have a whole lot of time on, I feel like I brought in guys that are really good people, and that they're winners in life, and I think that translates nowadays more than none. And that translates to building relationships with kids. And so it starts with our core values. Our core values, is growth, relationships, integrity and toughness. And you see it on a lot of our stuff. It spells grit. And a lot of people have those sayings and everything, but it's something that we truly live through, and we want to see growth within our program, and not just our football program. That's in our athletic program, period. We want our kids to grow. We want our kids to mature and be accountable, and take responsibility for what they're doing. And so I think that's going to make them understand that, with whatever they do, whatever decisions that they make, they're going to have consequences, whether that's good or whether it's bad. And it's how you deal with those, how you deal with those consequences, and, whether it's bad or good, you've got something to learn from it. And so, we strive to give our kids a lot of, a vision of having a growth mindset, of maturing, and seeing themselves, being where they're at, and trying to strive to be where they're wanting to be, and trying to strive and keep that vision of where do they see their very best being, and striving to be that person each and every day, and building those relationships with kids. More now, coaching nowadays, it's much harder than it ever has been. You have a lot more kids nowadays that need a lot more attention, and that could be from a different set of circumstances. That could be a lack of attention coming from home, a lack of attention coming from a lot of different areas. And so kids want to do right. They really do. Uh, they need that structure, and they need that discipline. And I believe, when you're not the parent, the only way to be able to give them that structure is first beforehand, you got to build a relationship. You got to not just speak to them like they're a robot. Uh, and that goes hand in hand with being there, being present, and talking. You've got to talk to these kids not just about sports. You got to talk to them about life, and you really got to ingrain yourself into what their life is, and help them with life. And if you can be that guiding light for them, then you show them that you care. And when you care, it gives them a responsibility that they don't want to let you down. And that's what you want to build with them. You want to build, a way of pride, and you want to build that structure of a foundation that they can fall back on. And I think that's very important, and that goes straight into having really good integrity and what you build with your morals and with your standards and living up to that. And it's a daily battle. It's not easy being a coach nowadays. We pick kids up, we call them on the weekends, uh, we feed them, we give them shelter, we give them clothes, we give them so much support, counseling, parental advice, all these different things. We take them on college visits. We do so much for these kids nowadays, more than ever, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot away from your family. It takes a lot away from your time off, and just to give these kids a little bit of hope, and it gives them a little bit of structure and a little bit of responsibility that they can look forward to, and it gives them something that really and truly they may never ever get again. And so I think that's very important for a lot of these kids, not just boys but girls too. It gives them an opportunity to look forward to something as they make decisions each and every day.
And I respect that. I like that answer. You mentioned DeKalb being a rival for New Boston. That's a question I had. Someone asked me to ask this question. So you already mentioned that's the rival. So who do you have circled, I guess, as a big game potentially this year? I know you got Dangerfield and DeKalb, the two teams sitting at the top of the district.
Well, our district is no pushover. We have a very tough district. We have good coaches all over. Every single one of our teams in our district, all the way from Queen City, Hugh Springs, Redwater, Dangerfield, Hooks, DeKalb, and us. I mean, it's not an easy week by any means, and we're going to get everybody's best, and our kids know that. And so uh, we have games that are big games for us that are on Highway 82, and that's a big thing for us, and that's a big motivation for us is we want to own Highway 82. We have Hooks, which is right down the road. We got DeKalb, which is right down the road, and we have us. We're all three schools are on Highway 82 right here, and we want to own Highway 82. And back when I was at DeKalb, you had to go through New Boston to be able to win the district, and that's kind of been lost, and it's kind of been lost in Lowell, and so that's our goal is to make sure that the teams that are around us, that are the closest to us, are the games that are circled, and not saying all the other ones aren't, because every single game is circled on our schedule. We've got to reset the standard for ourselves, and we got to show ourselves first of what we can achieve and what we want to achieve. And so uh, you know the good thing about kind of our schedule, we go to Redwater, and then we have DeKalb at home, and then, we go to Queen City, and then we have Hooks at home, and then we go to Hugh Springs, and then we have Dangerfield at home. So we have our home schedule. We have 7 home games this year, and we've already played 4. And so we've been very fortunate with that schedule. And so uh, all the games that are here are all big games. But all the games are on the road, are very big games too. I mean, they're all the same in my mind. Uh, and we put all the focus back on us. And I've preached it the last couple of weeks. And as we're building up, getting into district, it just makes it more pronounced. We control our own destiny. If we control us and we do what we're supposed to do, and we execute the things that we're capable of on the level that we're capable of, we're going to be right there in the thick of things. And so that's how we're approaching it.
Yes, sir. Real quickly, New Boston, they are 3A Division II, Region 3, District 10. I said DeKalb Dangerfield at the top because that's just what the expert said. I don't know. The only team I know anything about is Dangerfield, obviously, just because of the tradition there. But I'm 2 hours away from like every one of those places,
Yeah.
so I don't know hardly. I want to know about New Boston, but yeah, they had last year I think DeKalb, Dangerfield, New Boston, Hooks, Redwater, Hugh Springs, Queen City.
Yep.
This year they have DeKalb, Dangerfield swapping, and then New Boston and Hook swapping. So they still have the experts. That is, still have New Boston in the playoffs, finishing fourth. So we went over who you got circled, who's a rival. Have you played 4 games this year already?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you beat Shelbyville. That's right down the road from me. I know all about them.
Yeah.
And then you lost to Atlanta, beat Grace Community, and then you beat, was it Lake Country Christian Academy, it looks like. And you get Redwater this week. What do you expect to see from Redwater? Like, I guess offensively and defensively.
They're a really tough team. I mean, they've got really good coaches. They got really tough kids over there. They're really good up front. I expect them to be able to have a plan to really try to set the tone with trying to run the ball. That goes with any one of our teams. You got to establish the run, and so it's going to be really a really good game. And it's going to be our job to get our kids ready to go. And Redwater they've got some really good kids. And so when it all boils down to it, a lot of it depends on matchups and stuff like that, and where you want to pick your poison and be solid at. But really comes down to execution, and the team that executes the most is usually the scoreboard shows it at the end of the game, and so if we can eliminate the mistakes that we're making, we can eliminate the penalties, eliminate the big balls and the the mental errors that go along with that, and we can focus on execution. That's what we're going to focus on, and so Redwater's going to be a really good test for us. So,
Yes, sir. What do you run offensively and defensively?
So we're a multiple team. We run a multiple offense spread. A little bit under center. More or less mostly shotgun spread. One back, two back stuff. Defensively, we can bounce into an even front and odd front stuff. And so we try to be multiple with whatever the other team has in favor. And so we're gonna show a lot of different stuff just to give us an upper hand on things that we think we would need an upper hand on.
Yes, sir. How much time do we got left?
It's 9:32, so probably 10-15 minutes.
Okay. I'll try to get through everything then. In your opinion, what's the value of a head coach?
I think a testament, the value of a head coach is finding the value within your team and finding the value with your coaching staff and with your players. The coaching the staffs that I've been on in previous years, that's been a big focus. Is you got to have a good staff around you, and you got to have guys that you can depend on. And as a head, I'm me being in this role now is totally different because I'm having to learn a lot of different things, and so I'm having to learn to be more hands off, which is not it's not customary for me because I've always been that coach that head coaches have always leaned on, and so. But we have great coaches. We have great men that are hard workers that have a lot of value and bring a lot to the table. And so we're growing as a staff as we're growing as a team.
Would you rather win a game 6-0 or 58-54?
It's hard to say. I'd rather win the game personally. It doesn't matter what the score is, but I think you can learn a lot from both. Uh, on one hand, you're going to learn how to fight with both outcomes. One is the offensive game, one is a defensive game. I think nowadays, more than none, you've got to be able to score points nowadays, and the game has just changed so different, and you're finding more and more people are getting into a more of a space game, and you've got to be good on the exterior. People are launching the ball downfield, and they're trying to score quick. Where that was, 10, 15 years ago, it was kind of different. People wanted to control the ball, control the clock, and everything, and it's still that way in a lot of areas. But people want to score points. People want to see. Fans want to see that. People want to win, but people want to be entertained nowadays, and that doesn't dictate what we do, but what our kids are capable of dictates what we do. Mm-hmm. And so what we do offensively, defensively comes from what our kids can and cannot do, and we're not going to do something and have and be stubborn. And us coaches be stubborn in a way that we're going to stick to. I've always done this. No, we're going to assess what our kids are capable of and what our kids' strengths are, and that's what we're going to do. Whether that be us changing year in and year out to what we're doing offensively, defensively, that's the name of the game, and I think that's the name of a game. That's the testament of coaches. Some and it's just like with anything. Some coaches are better than others, and some coaches are good at coaching and good at relating things to kids better than other coaches. And I think that's the testament whenever you get into this level is, how good are your coaches? And if you've got really good coaches that are energetic, that are knowledgeable, that can build relationships with kids, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see those teams go into the playoffs, and you're going to see those guys, those kids fight for those coaches. And so I think that's a big testament of that.
Game-winning touchdown or goal line stand?
I like goal line stands, to be honest. I mean, I'm a defensive guy at heart. Anytime you can keep somebody out of the end zone, especially when they're bearing down your throat, that's huge. But I love scoring touchdowns too. I love scoring touchdowns and seeing those big linemen kind of trotting off the field and/or trotting down there for a PAT field goal. To where they can, it's good morale on both. But I'm always a sucker for goal line stands. It just shows you what you're made of, and it shows you where your team's at, that the grit and the toughness of being able to do what you're supposed to do at a drop of a hat, and so it just goes to show you who wants it more whenever you're down there on the goal line and you're on the 1 or 2 or 3 yard line, and you ain't got a choice but to go forward. So I like goal line stands.
Sound just like Ty Taylor. That's exactly what he said whenever I interviewed him. Okay, I got a scenario, but I probably won't even knock that out. I usually ask coaches scenarios, but I'll just skip that one, and we'll just go straight to New Boston. It's about 2 hours from me. If I decided to come watch New Boston play some football at home this year, whether it be one of those, was it DeKalb, Hooks, and Dangerfield?
Yes.
Okay, so one of those 3 games at New Boston. I'm going to get hungry, so where should I eat at in New Boston? Where's a good spot to get some grub at in New Boston?
Maria's Tex-Mex.
Maria's?
Maria's. It's downtown. You can't miss it. They do a great job. I mean, you get a little bit of everything. Even if you don't even want Mexican food, they've got great wings. They've got great burgers. The food is phenomenal. So you can't go wrong with Maria's.
Okay. I'll have to keep that in mind. Maria's. Okay, Coach. Like I said, I'll skip the scenario. I'll let you get out of here. But I thank you for your time, man. I really appreciate it. You
Yes,
seem
sir.
like a very smart guy. There's probably a bigger word for that, but intelligent. You seem like you're very intelligent and
Well,
well rounded.
I don't know about intelligent. Maybe I get you ought to be at home and but I get called other words sometimes too. But hey, but thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to be on.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I hope to see you guys in the playoffs. Hope y'all stay healthy and have a great year. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Go Lions.
Yes, sir.